Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Cotton Grower Magazine's Cotton Companion Podcast. According to USDA, we're just past the halfway point of this year's cotton harvest. There's obviously several more weeks of long days and nights ahead for cotton growers. And the same goes for ginners, some of whom are already kicking into 24-hour shifts. It's that time of year when the biggest cotton news of the day literally is how fast growers can get this crop out, and all while keeping their eyes on the markets. I'm Jim Stedman, Senior Editor of Cotton Grower, and as always, I'm joined by Cotton Grower Editor Frank Giles. Frank, what's new?
Oh, not much. Just to echo what you're saying, I'm following social media. I'm seeing more and more growers finishing up crops, tweeting the last rows being picked or finishing peanuts up and moving on into cotton. So looks like a lot of progress is getting made.
Sounds good. Well, if you're a regular listener and you follow this podcast religiously, and we certainly hope you are, we're just a few days late with this episode, primarily because we're going to look at the current state of the cotton industry from a slightly different perspective. And we needed a few industry announcements and some reports to drop this week before our guest could get his calendar cleared. Jim Nunn, who's owner of Nunn Cotton Company in Brownsville, Tennessee, and a good friend of the Cotton Companion, is going to join us in the virtual studio in just a few minutes to discuss some of the highs, lows, and challenges of today's market from a broker's perspective. We hope you'll stay with us for that segment. But first, a few news items from the industry. Frank?
Speaking of crop progress, let's take a look at the USDA report for the week ending November 7th. It is no longer providing crop conditions, but that likely doesn't matter considering the rate at which harvest is currently progressing. First of all, the report showed that 98% of all cotton bolls are now open. That's right on the 5-year average for the week, with 11 states on or above their respective averages. For the second consecutive week, harvest numbers showed a 10 percentage point increase, with 55% of the U.S. crop now harvested, just 2 percentage points behind the 5-year average and climbing fast. In all, 11 of the 15 cotton producing states showed double-digit increases of their own. Now moving on to news from BASF, it is now accepting applications for its FiberMax 1-ton club and Stoneville Legacy Club, which recognize FiberMax and Stoneville cotton growers dedicated to growing high quality, high yielding cotton. To qualify for the 1-ton club, growers must produce a minimum of 2,000 pounds of gin cotton per acre on a minimum of 20 acres planted with 100% FiberMax cotton from January 1st to December 31st, 2021. Cotton acreage can be either irrigated or dryland, and growers must provide gin recap sheets and qualification forms to verify the yields. Application deadline is February 28, 2022. Qualifying growers who attend the 1-ton club banquet in Lubbock in early April can also enter for a chance to win a 2-year lease on a Ford Super Duty F-350 King Ranch truck. To apply for the Stoneville Legacy Club, growers must plant Stoneville cotton on a minimum of 20 acres from January 1st to December 31st, 2021. There are 2 divisions, one for irrigated acres and one for non-irrigated land. Growers must provide a complete gin recap sheet and qualification forms to verify yield. Both clubs are open to growers in all cotton producing states, and an online application is available on both the FiberMax and Stoneville websites. You can also find links to those sites and other program details in our article on cottongrower.com.
Frank, let me jump in here real quick because I just noticed one piece of information is missing in this. The application deadline for the Stoneville Legacy Club is January 31st of 2022. So keep that number in mind too if you're interested in applying for the club this year.
Great. Thanks, Jim. And finally, the Ralph Lauren Corporate Foundation and the Soil Health Institute have announced the launch of the Institute's U.S. Regenerative Cotton Fund, or USRCF, a new science-based initiative to support long-term sustainable cotton production in the United States. The program's goal is to eliminate 1 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent from the atmosphere by 2026. The program is supported by a $5 million grant from Ralph Lauren Corporate Foundation and will work to unite the interests of farmers, partners, and financial supporters around soil health as the foundation for regenerative agriculture. Program operations managed by the Soil Health Institute will begin in Arkansas, Texas, Mississippi, and Georgia, with plans to expand into Alabama, North Carolina, Missouri, California, and Oklahoma. Those 9 states represent 85% of U.S. cotton production. Shortly following the announcement, the program was recognized as an Innovation Spirit Partner in the Agriculture Innovation Mission for Climate. It's an initiative supported by more than 30 world governments for its investment in agricultural innovation for climate-smart agriculture and food systems over the next 5 years. You can find more details about this new initiative at cottongrower.com.
Well, now it's time to open the doors of the virtual studio and bring in Jim Nunn, who's owner of Nunn Cotton Company in beautiful downtown Brownsville, Tennessee. Jim, it's been a while since you joined us. Welcome back to the Cotton Companion.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
First of all, you're sitting in one of the primary cotton production areas of Tennessee. And just out of curiosity, how's harvest progressing in your area, and kind of what are you seeing and hearing from growers up there?
Well, here we are on the 11th of November. It's been a rainy morning here. We've had anywhere from a quarter to a half inch around West Tennessee. Other areas have had more or less. I'm going to say we're probably somewhere 65, 75% harvested. Yields for the most part have been better than expected. I've heard dryland yields anywhere from a bale to over 1,500 pounds. Of course, some of these better yields are on land that's been rotated into corn or soybeans in recent years. But yeah, I think most farmers are in that 1,000, 1,100 pound yield area, with some variations up and down from there. But I think most people are very pleased with that. We're hearing good reports over Northeast Arkansas, record yields, 1,700, 1,800 pound crops across the board for some growers. Some areas are not quite that high, but I think for the most part, everyone is very pleased. Looking back at the crop we had the 1st of August, we felt it had potential, but we really didn't think it was going to be quite like this. I think our seed companies need to be commended for the work they've done. And of course, we have the technology today, and we have farmers who put a good bit of effort into trying to make a crop, save a crop, spend what is necessary to make the yields. And I think they've done that. And I think most farmers are very thankful and grateful for what crops they produce this year. And of course, the higher prices make them feel better as well.
Yeah, definitely. Any preliminary word on what quality looks like?
All the yields, quality is good. Getting some contract cotton in, you'll see an occasional 42 or 51 in there. But for the most part, you've got a 41 and 31 crop, different areas with different varieties, different growing conditions, have different, qualities. But I think here in West Tennessee, the quality is very, very good. And I'm seeing the same thing in other areas.
Great. Well, from your perspective, your unique perspective as a merchant, tell us what it's like dealing with this cotton market today with the great prices and what really appears, as you said, to be a bigger crop than maybe we anticipated earlier this year.
Well, just to clarify, I'm a broker. I buy
a broker, okay,
and sell to merchants. So I'm in contact with both sides of the equation, daily. I think the merchants are concerned about the invert that we had between the December contract and the March contract. Today, the spread traded and closed just shy of 300 plus points. We've seen it early in the week trade higher than that. And the merchants are concerned about the large outstanding number of mill fixations to be done in the next 7 trading days. tomorrow you have option expiration. You have a huge amount of in the money calls on the December contract. How's that going to affect us tomorrow and going into next week? If those long calls exercise those calls, you're going to have a large volume of new trades coming in. And then you got these mill fixations that are going to have to come against it. And are these mills going to fix here at $1.18 on December? Or are they going to roll the dice another 7 days and hope it goes back down below $1.10? Or are they going to fix it at $1.20 or higher? It's, we hear those things. The merchants are afraid of their mill customers being under pressure to do things. Farmers are happy. They're seeing these prices. Growers are calling me, asking me what to do with the cotton they do not have sold. Recap prices, bids are very, very strong. Considering the invert, the trade is buying off of March, but you see prices that are very strong basis March. And, I have a couple of merchants who are buying gin run bales. Guy calls up and sell 500 bales or 200 bales. They'll give us a price and buy it because they feel comfortable with the qualities that they're seeing out of the Mid-South, not only in terms of color and leaf, but also in strength and staple and uniformity.
So it's shaping up to be a good year for everybody all around at this point.
Yes. I think generally speaking, growers are happy with the yields they've had, the quality they had. And if they weren't heavily sold, they're enjoying these higher prices. And if they have something less, they're glad to have more cotton to sell.
Absolutely. Now we've heard and even we've reported some on all these supply chain issues over the last several months. Obviously, most of it seems to be focused on the import side with ships trying to come in, difficulty getting them docked and unloaded. Most of the cotton that you work with, is that going domestic or is it going offshore? And what kind of challenges are you seeing or are you hearing from some of the folks you work with?
Well, most of the cotton in this area is going to export. Your mills, for the most part, they're getting their supplies out of the Southeast for logistical reasons too. It's closer to truck it to a mill in North Carolina, South Carolina, from the Carolinas or Georgia than it is from over here. And we don't have the backhauls like we used to have in a previous generation because, we've seen manufacturing leave the U.S. But, there are issues with containers, issues with trucks. There are a lot of, things going on in addition to the logistics of moving the crop that we're seeing bog things down here. Gins complain about not getting a lot of classing on time, not like what they're used to. Classing office having some labor issues like everyone else. Gins are having issues with labor. I spoke with someone just the other day, and he had 2 quit his night shift, and then I found out this morning he had another one quit his night shift. So he's lost 40% of his people, working on the night shift, or a third of them. So you're looking at those issues too. Farmers are seeing the same issues on the farm with labor, and I guess with the move to module pickers from basket pickers, we don't see quite as big a labor issue out there, but people are still having labor issues with people coming to work. I know one gin owner told me a couple of weeks ago that he had a truck driver tell him on Friday afternoon he'd see him on Monday. He said that would have never happened in the past. So he said, what do I do? Fire him, but I'll need him on Monday. So we're seeing a lot of different labor issues out there at the gin level, at the farm level. We're seeing it. Truckers trying to get people to drive trucks to pick up cargo, take it to the container yards in Memphis or wherever they're going with it. And, hopefully in another year, we'll have some of these problems solved.
Well, Jim, you mentioned that growers are happy with this dollar cotton and beyond. Are you starting to see any weakening in demand for cotton or shifts over to polyester? Or what's the crystal ball say in that regard?
Well, some of the things I read, one analyst in particular is talking about how the polyester prices not gone up with cotton. So we're going to see in certain textile markets probably a higher percentage of polyester in the blends. I think we're seeing too that the consumer wants more cotton. They're looking at sustainable type cottons. We're seeing the Better Cotton Initiative is growing. We're seeing the National Cotton Council with the Trust Protocol program they have. Growers are signing up. We're seeing interest in both those programs from textile manufacturers. As the consumer is asking, how was this crop produced? Is it a sustainable crop? And are the farmers doing a better job in managing their resources, using less water, less fertilizer, less pesticides to raise the crop and protect our environment?
Sounds good. Now, we've heard some economists say over the last month or so that this level of demand and these higher prices may be with us for quite a while. What are your thoughts on that statement?
Well, I think that it's going to be hard for the markets to go down a whole lot unless we have some type of political action happen. And we can talk about China and Taiwan or the U.S. and the weak labor situation in Western China. I think prices will stay up here. One thing that encourages me, listening to some of the people I listen to, is that the Chinese are releasing another 600,000 metric tons. They announced that day before yesterday for their mills to buy, and only the mills, not traders. So they've already released some more bales earlier in this marketing year. We've seen them have a quota for internal stock. So we're seeing that demand there is good. We keep hearing some rumors that maybe the Chinese crop is not as large as it is believed to be. We don't know that. But I think you're going to see the demand here. And if the Chinese sell this 2.6 or 2.7 million bales on the reserve, then they're going to have to replace it. And will they replace it in the 2021-22 crop year, or will they wait until the 22-23 crop and start buying supplies out of the U.S. and Brazil predominantly in the summer of 2022 and the fall of 2022, which should be supportive for new crop prices.
All right. Well, Jim, I tell you, with that, I think we're going to call time on this, let you get back to your real business and moving some cotton around. And again, thanks for joining us on the Cotton Companion. We appreciate your time. And, one of these days I am going to get over to Brownsville.
We'll come to Brownsville barbecue.
Okay. We can make that happen.
Bring Frank with you.
Well, we got to get him up. We got to get him up here.
Well, what the winner of the game Saturday will buy lunch for us.
Hey, that sounds like a deal.
Sounds great. Jim, thanks so much for joining us.
All right, y'all have a good day.
Thank you, Jim.
Go Vol.
Absolutely.
Go Dog.
Bye, Cotton.
And that's it for this episode of the Cotton Companion podcast. A special thanks again to Jim Nunn, and as always, to you, dear listeners, for joining us. If you like what you hear on the Cotton Companion, please be sure to spread the word and tell your farmer friends about this podcast. Here's how you can find us.
You can find the Cotton Companion in 3 easy ways. First, go to cottongrower.com/companion, or simply click the podcast tab at the top of the homepage. Second, subscribe to our channel on iTunes or wherever you find your podcasts these days. And 3, sign up for our weekly e-newsletter, the Cotton Grower e-News, that's delivered to your email inbox every Tuesday morning. You can do that by going to cottongrower.com/subscribe. Also, be sure to follow Cotton Grower on social media. We are at Cotton Grower Mag on Twitter, and on Facebook, you'll find us by searching for Cotton Grower Magazine.
Cotton Companion podcast comes to you twice monthly. It's produced by Tyler Hatch and Kim Henderson, our talented colleagues at the world headquarters for Meister Media Worldwide in lovely Willoughby, Ohio. My name's Jim Stedman. His name's Frank Giles, and we'll be back with you in 2 weeks with the next episode of the Cotton Companion. Until then, stay safe.
Yeah, he works and he works and he works and he works all day. God made a farm.